Tien Cong Tran, Ph.D. Heidegger's Other Beginning. Chapters 1-3. Heidegger calls traditional Western philosophy or metaphysics the first beginning. Metaphysics has come to its end. Another beginning is appearing. Another beginning becomes necessary because the first beginning leads to an evil and desolate world. Many people saw the decadence of the West. They tried to surpass it, but they failed. Heidegger himself tries to lead thinking to the other beginning. Heidegger sees in Hölderlin the search for the way out of the desolation. Therefore, a dialogue between thought and poetry arises. Chapter I. Fright in front of evil and desolation. If Western philosophy begins with the wonder in front of the disclosure of beings, Heidegger's thought starts with the fright in front of the concealment of being. Wonder leads to the first beginning and fright raises the other beginning. Why frightened? Because, according to Heidegger, humanity resides in his relation to being. But, as we have said above, our time is the time of the complete forgetfulness of being, and this forgetfulness brings an evil and desolate world. Fright is fright before evil and desolation. Metaphysics leads to the forgetfulness of being and therefore to an evil and desolate world. Michael Jackson's Thriller describes this world. The present world is a terrible night. Michael Jackson's Thriller may describe the scenery. This is Thriller, killer night, the dead start to walk in their masquerade, this is the end of your life, there's demons closing in on every side, darkness falls across the land, the midnight hour is close at hand, creatures crawl in search of blood. Heidegger says, being is the ether in which mankind breathes. Without this ether humans would descend to the level of mere beasts and even lower, and all human activity would be reduced to breeding like cattle. Indeed, is there the evil, desolate, and thriller side like Heidegger says and Michael Jackson sings? 1. In a most civilized nation, the following story happened. A man went to the court to find justice. The result, he received a judgment which was inhuman and a bold robbery. The story took place because of the magic hand of a lawyer. A lawyer has the duty for the client's benefit. Benefit goes together with lies. More lies, more benefit. Therefore, turning white to black is the job of a lawyer. The victim said to his lawyer of appeal that he went to the court to look for justice and received this answer: if you want to find justice, go to the church. This lawyer showed honesty. If the court is not the place for justice, the naming of the court as a place of justice is already an excellent cheating of the devil. The devil reigns the court. This question should be raised: robberies on the streets and robberies in the courts, which ones are more and bigger? Robberies on the streets are dangerous, against the law and possible penalties, and bring bad names. On the contrary, robberies in the courts are not dangerous, legal, and bring famous names because of talents. In the courts there are big judgments which robberies on the streets cannot be compared with. But the judges, not the lawyers, are the ones who give judgments. So the connection between judges and lawyers is necessary. In a world without morality, this connection is only normal. A judgment which is inhuman and a bold robbery can take place only when there is the connection between a liar and a devil. The victim cannot imagine human malice has attained to such terrible level. This was a story which took place in one of the most civilized nations. In many other nations the places which are called justice are the places where the governments keep in prison and kill opposite politicians and people with different political ideas. Many laws are written to help the above-mentioned robberies, imprisonments, and killings. That is what Heidegger calls the end of humanity, and Confucius says that the inferior man does anything he wants. In the underdeveloped countries there are the undeveloped devils, and in the developed countries there are the developed devils. Nowadays in many places the way is prohibited to be taught, however there is a growth of schools to create for them a class of professionals who work clients' benefit, and so they follow a career of lies and robberies. It is not known if the founders of the above-mentioned schools acknowledge that evil fact. It is possible to say that the founders of the schools for education of a class of professionals who work clients' benefit, they do not know that they form a class of those who work with lies and robberies. In the same manner, the materialists, and those who live on benefit, interest, do not know that they are evil. 2. That is the place mankind call justice. How about the beautiful place which is called love? Let us repeat the singing of Michael Jackson. She's so dangerous. The girls is so dangerous. Take away my money. Throw away my time. You can call me honey. But you're no damn good for me. Dangerous. I have to pray to God. 'Cause I know lust can blind. It's passion in my soul. But you're no damn lover. Dangerous. So are justice and love. How about other matters? The first beginning leads mankind to an evil and desolate world. Mankind needs another beginning. The other beginning is an emergency. Contributions to philosophy of the event talks a lot about the other beginning. Heidegger talks about the future ones who acknowledge this fright. They are few and future. They are those who see or respond to the voice of being. Among them we have to count Heidegger and Hölderlin. We have to take a look at ourselves to see the change. Michael Jackson talks to us in Man in the Mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, then make a change. Take a look at yourself, and then make a change. John Lennon sings in Imagine, imagine there's no heaven, no hell, live for today. Imagine there's no countries, nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too, live in life in peace. Imagine no possessions, no need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people share in all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer. But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Chapter 2. Danger and the Turn. The essence of technology is all-placing. All-placing takes care of the shore of beings. All-placing sets beings as standing reserve. All-placing is being of beings as standing reserve. Technology dominates the present world. Things appear as standing reserve. All-placing is a way of the appearance of being. The way by which being falls into forgetfulness, all-placing pursues being, even though it is a pursuit in forgetfulness. This way of pursuing, according to Heidegger, is a danger. The character of the danger is pursuing. If all-placing is being, the danger resides in being itself. Being in its essence is dangerous. Being is dangerous because it can happen as what it is not. That is also called the errancy of being. The danger or errancy of being has happened through the history of metaphysics and completes itself in the time of technology. In the time of technology, the danger appears as standing reserve. The errancy of being harbors the fact that the danger conceals itself as danger. All placing conceals itself as danger. We do not acknowledge or experience the danger of the time of technology. We do not acknowledge all placing as being and this being as danger. And, according to Heidegger, this is the utmost danger. The utmost danger is that the danger does not appear as danger. People see perils taking place everywhere, but people do not see that perils come from all placing. As a consequence of the danger, a distress makes the rounds. But distress is not experienced as distress. One comes across a multitude of distresses and tribulations. One remedies them by many acts. But one does not know that distress comes from being as all-placing. The remedy is not successful because one does not remedy from the root. The present world is evil and desolate. The present world is a danger. What else is more dangerous? According to Heidegger, what is most dangerous lies in the fact that the danger does not show itself as danger. One does not know that being of the present man is evil. When there is no image of the other shore, when one lives only with this shore, one attaches oneself to material. Material is his life's goal. Materialism and benefitism are the way of living of modern man. Lies and robberies, wars, bring more benefits. One does not know the danger. One even goes and preaches the evil civilization, many times by bullets and bombs. There are nations which abandon their traditional civilizations and welcome the evil civilization. China, homeland of the sages like Lao Tzu and Confucius, of I Ching with the way of earth-heaven, welcomes materialism and becomes a place where, according to Heidegger's saying, millions end in starvation. Vietnam and North Korea also become lands of a class of people living in richness and tyranny and the majority living in poverty and oppression, lands of so many killings, imprisonments, and sufferings. However, in the evil and desolate landscape, Heidegger sees a flash of hope. He cites Hölderlin's saying, "But where the danger is, there grows also what saves." All placing is being as danger. But this being itself is what saves. Being happens as a destiny given to man. This destiny harbors in itself the change, and there are many changes in the history of metaphysics. All placing harbors in itself a change. This change happens as a lightning flash. The turn of the danger takes place suddenly. In the turn there suddenly lights up the illuminated clearing of the essence of being. This sudden self-lighting is the lightning flash. Heidegger has been waiting for a long time, then suddenly the fourfold flashes to him. This flash is the event itself or being in itself, in its truth. This is what Heidegger calls insight into that which is the event or the fourfold. This insight happens in man because it needs man. Chapter 3. Leap. Metaphysics is a forgetfulness of being and leads to an evil and desolate world. So, casting away metaphysics is needful. 1. Destruction, step back and overcoming. Even in Being and Time, 1927, Heidegger already talks about the destruction of the history of ontology. But this task is not accomplished. The book as it is published does not include that destruction. Later Heidegger practices the destruction in many of his works. The destruction wants to say that the thought of metaphysics of the disclosure of beings is founded on the disclosure of being. We have presented that, according to Heidegger, metaphysics thinks being as beingness and forgets being in its unconcealment. What is the step back? Metaphysics thinks the disclosure of beings. According to Heidegger, the disclosure of being is founded on the disclosure of being. In a certain manner, the disclosure of being precedes the disclosure of beings. The step back is the step from the disclosure of beings back to the disclosure of being. Overcoming is to think what is forgotten. The Greeks wonder before the disclosure of beings. But they forget to ask question about that disclosure. Therefore, they do not enter the domain of the disclosure of being. Beings appear in the light of being. 2. Leaving. In Time and Being, 1962, Heidegger talks about leaving metaphysics to itself. As a professor of philosophy, Heidegger does not want to deny metaphysics. But with leaving, Heidegger wants to let metaphysics flow into oblivion. When we talk about overcoming metaphysics, we still look at it. Therefore, our task is to cease all overcoming. We think being without regard to metaphysics. Indeed, metaphysics can be an experience from which we, 1. Do not commit a mistake like metaphysics and, 2. See more clearly the other shore. 3. Leap. Leap is leap from the domain of metaphysics into the domain of the future thinking. Metaphysics thinks being from beings or being as beingness. The future thinking thinks being from itself, being in its truth, unconcealment. The domain of the future thinking is the non-material shore, the shore of being or the other shore. Leap is leap from the first beginning to the other beginning. Talking about leap is talking about leaving behind all things of the first beginning. Leap does not bring with it anything. Because the material shore is the shore of desolation, of evil and of sorrow, leap is relinquishing desolation, evil, and sorrow to build green meadows, the holy and serenity. The shore of being is the shore of green meadows, the holy, and serenity.